hey, you gotta think about it. Think about it.
Hi guys, I hope everyone is doing well. Here to do something a bit different today. We're going to cover off 3 books that I've recently acquired around Christmas time or the last 2 to 3 months. And we're going to start with this one, my Palatoy story, which I've recently finished, gone through cover to cover. Absolutely amazing book, really, really fascinating. And then the other 2 that are more, we'll come onto them in a second, but they're more kind of coffee table reference guides as opposed to books that you want to, go through page by page. But we start with this one. So again, my Palatoy story. It is an account from one of the chief designers from Palatoy, a UK toy company that lasted several decades. But for me, probably what you can see there, the massive AT-AT. Produced in the UK the Star Wars toys, and some of them, there were some variants to the US versions that were produced by Kenner and Bob. The author of the book was instrumental to those designs. So one, for example, the Death Star was different to its US counterpart, and the one here, the various kind of the floors and the levels were actually made out of card. And also ranges, include, I think it was the UK, or one of the UK equivalents to Barbie. You can see Action Man there. They built the likes of Action Force, G.I. Joe, up in the corner. And the book really, it's obviously at its core, it touches on the history of toys in the UK, but in doing so, it does cover off a fairly historical account of the UK, of Britain, going through the 20th century. The book itself was part of a Kickstarter, so I was fortunate enough to get this one signed by Bob, and the whole thing, I can't remember when I got involved in it, but it seemed to be fairly quick from that point, from it then getting agreed as a project through to actually getting the physical book delivered and through the door. So yeah, I'm somewhere within their freeze frame and do a Where's Wally or Where's Waldo if you wish to. And I don't want to kind of be doing a disservice to Bob and the people behind the book if I was to go through page by page. But essentially, it is a chronological account of the toy industry. How Palatoy came about, its competitors. It talks about, other toy companies in the UK, such as, Hornby, and then also, broader kind of European companies as well, and US ones. So like Meccano, for example, will feature a fair bit. Britain's in there. I remember as a kid, I don't know if I inherited them from my older brothers, some of the little soldiers, but they were fairly instrumental in that. I think they did some agricultural bits as well. So it's good. It dives into a bit of the politics and the influence it has on the economy and what's going on. But it includes a lot of the items in here. The pictures, the posters, the brochures, sourced from Bob's kind of archive, or broader like press articles. But it's fascinating, and it goes really from talking about a UK where children didn't really have many toys at all, and it was just kicked out. He went to school, and then aside from that, kicking a football around or skipping in the park or whatever, and it was kind of the 50s and 60s, whereby again, so let's get physical, toys had more of a feature, and die-cast cars in the home, and so it talks about some of the architects, the key people behind the toy industry, but very much with Palatoy at its core, talking about how it expands, how it grows, the various ranges of toys, the people running the company. Fair bit on, most relevant to me, like Star Wars, and their involvement and some of the UK variants to those, and yeah, it's just absolutely awesome. Really enjoyed it, and yeah, for each of the 3 books I'll leave links below. I'm not entirely sure with this one, its availability. It was off the back of a Kickstarter, but I'll leave some links below in case anyone's interested in taking a look. And I am obviously, I mean, it's a fairly hefty tone. I've been jumping quite a few pages as we're going through the book. The awesome Rancor. I've got my Rancor upstairs. Not my metaphorical Rancor, my true Star Wars Rancor. But yeah, there's a lot to be not just looked at, but to be read, and it's so well, put together. It's very, very detailed. Full of facts, full of references, and it comes to near enough 56 pages. But a beautiful book, really, really nice. So that's the first one. Let's look at the other 2. So something a bit different, and to be honest, I think it was either a recommendation or I was just doing a search on Amazon for arcade related books. As you can see, aside from the colour, it is black and white inside, fairly text heavy, but that said, there's quite a few images, and really what this is covering, it's by, pretty sure, an American author. This Jamie Lendino seems to have mainly focused around all things gaming, but it really is the rise and fall of arcade games, and it goes, I think, 50s, 60s, kind of electro mechanical games, and it works its way through the eras, covering off the key companies that one would expect, the Ataris, the Segas, the Nintendos, but again, I mean, similar to the previous book, there's a fair bit of history in there, a lot of detail. Talks about the companies themselves. So we've got Namco or Namcot in Japan here, and then underneath that we've got a few of the key games that they released, and then along with that the screenshots from those games. So yeah, this is one. I mean, I'll confess I haven't gone through this cover to cover. It's more, for me anyway, more of a book to browse through, and then just pick off any of those kind of key nostalgic games or something I've got an interest in, as opposed to reading absolutely everything. There's probably certain eras of arcade gaming that are far more interesting to me than others, again probably due to that nostalgia kick, or just a bit of interest. But it is it's a cracking book. So yeah, I'll put links below, but it was got this from Amazon. I don't know what the price is on there. No price on here. Probably fluctuates a bit through Amazon, but I don't remember it being too expensive. Again, bearing in mind how the length of the book, and it goes on to probably early 90s. Yeah, but so you're still looking at Sega, Neo Geo, and I think it goes on at Street Fighter, the fighting games, and probably a bit of Mortal Kombat as well. And the references at the back, so it's a good old book, just over 400 pages. Good bang for your buck. But again, a nice gaming reference book for the collection. Last but certainly not least, we've got this one from, I always get the name wrong, Bitmap Books. I think Bitmap Brothers, something of the Speedball, the gaming company. But yeah, I mean, Bitmap Books are known for putting out some lovely gaming related books, typically very well produced, high quality, again insightful, nice pictures. So I've probably got 5 or 6 of the books, but I haven't got one in this form, and it's in a certain shape because it's a book dedicated to arcade Marquees, and a bit say like damaged, maybe a bit squashed at the top, and that's just through delivery. But the key part of it is what is inside, and like I say, absolutely beautifully printed, but hopefully you can see it on screen. And how they've the process for how they've scanned some of these in is amazing. They're very, very, superb images. You've got some interviews with some of the the designers of the Marquees, talking through some of the history. This section I think is showing you how they've actually produced the book itself and taking the images from the physical Marquees and scanning them in. And then we come on to the Marquees themselves, and there's so many. I'm skipping pages. I don't want to. I'd feel out of order if I was, and I'd probably be breaking some maybe copyright or some kind of law by going through page by page. I'm not entirely sure, but regardless, it would spoil the fun. So I'm just going to literally just grab a few pages and then skip and go through. I mean, as you can see so far, for me anyway, every page we've come across has been a fairly key game, like Life Force, Nemesis, Moon Patrol. Look at that Outrun. There's a certain retro import gamer that is hot for that picture, hot for that image. R-Type, some IRM classics. So you've got a bit of detail here. Obviously, you've got just the marquee image, you've got the year, you've got who's produced the game. Return of the Jedi Arcade is probably out of all of them. I don't know if that's my probably least favourite from the trilogy. I still like the original Star Wars arcade. Shinobi, look at that, it's just beautiful. But yeah, you can see already on 240, 3 of these books, they're not skimping away with a handful of pages. They're serious tomes. Look at that, Terminator 2, Judgment Day, absolutely amazing. And so you've got all the images, and you think, is that it? But it's not, because at the back, I think for each of them, you've got a little spiel, not War and Peace, just a key paragraph on each of the games, talking about history, bit of background, what inspired the image. Absolutely superb. And that is it, guys. So that's Arcade. Bit of a centipede on the back. Beautiful book, and I'll leave links to or details to all 3 of these books in the description. Obviously, I'm not affiliated with any of these in any way. It's just a kind of personal interest, and I thought they look pretty good. I've enjoyed them, so I thought worthy of a share with you guys. And I love you and leave you, and I'll see you on the next one. Cheers.